This is the Morris News Network, and we are at the Lake Placid Historical Society Museum in Lake Placid, Florida. It is located at 12 Park Avenue. Lake Placid is a small town in the center of Florida and is known as the Caladium capital of the world. It is also known as Florida's Lake Country because it has 29 lakes, the largest of which is Lake Eastopoga, which is approximately 27,000 acres. In front of the museum, you can see a representation of the caladium bulbs that are being grown by the caladium growers of Lake Placid. We are the caladium capital of the world because we grow more caladiums than anyone else in the entire world. Our caladiums have been featured at Disney World and Downtown Disney and various other places around Disney World during the time of year that the plants are the most active. There is also a caladium festival that is every year in July, and the caladium growers also have tours of the caladium fields sponsored by the Lake Placid Chamber of Commerce. You take a bus out and just enjoy the scenery. The Lake Placid Historical Society was started by Betts and Richard Lamb in 1988, and it was in the 1927 Atlantic Coastline Railroad Depot down by the railroad tracks in Lake Placid, and it was entered into the National Registry of Historical Places in 1993. While down at the museum, you should check out the caboose that is on the side of the museum building. It was donated by the Atlantic Coastline Railroad, who ran it through the area for many years. It's an actual working caboose, and you can take a tour of the inside to see what they looked like back in the day. Nothing like today's cabooses. This is one of two cells that was used by the town of Lake Placid. The constables would arrest someone, and they would be put in these cells to be held waiting for the mayor to hear their case. These were housed in an old building close to where the Journal Plaza is now on North Main Street, because the Lake Placid Police Department didn't have enough room for a cell because they were in with the City Hall at the time probably. They would take you to these cells and you would wait for the mayor to show up, and if the mayor happened to be out of town or was decided he wanted to take a fishing trip, then you would just have to wait your time. Eventually the state of Florida did away with the constable system, and all the prisoners would be taken to a county jail or somewhere else to wait for trial. At one time, the Historical Society ran a fundraiser for, I think, a few years, that you could turn someone in saying they are not of good character or whatever, all out of good fun. Everybody approved of it ahead of time, and the actual constables would come, handcuff you, put you in the police car, take a picture, take you down here, and you would be furnished a phone before cell phones were available, and you could call until you could get your $25 bail to get out, and as soon as you did, then you could turn someone else in. It was all in good fun. This steam engine was used by a lumber company down around the Venus area in an area called Hicora. The lumber company was called the Hicora Lumber Company, and they also had a sawmill down there. Exactly what they used this steam engine for, we do not know. The steam engine was donated to the society by the Crawford family of Lake Placid, and it had been on a vacant piece of property down around Highlands Park for many years. They donated it to the museum so that people could appreciate and see some of the old engines that were around back in the old days. Back before 1927, train service was established to Lake Placid at a train station that is no longer there. The current train station, that is now the Lake Placid Historical Society, was dedicated by Melvin Dewey, who urged the Atlantic Coast Railroad to put a depot in here for service prior to 1927, and to change the name of Lake Stearns at the time to Lake Placid because it reminded him of his home back up in New York that was called Lake Placid. Passenger service would continue to Lake Placid up until the 60s, and in 1975 the train station itself was closed down. In 1984, the Atlantic Coast Railroad deeded the property to the Lake Placid Historical Society, where they reside to this day. I hope after watching this video you are interested in the history of Lake Placid and would like to help preserve the history. For a $10 membership, you can join the Historical Society, or if you would like to just volunteer, you can go down and just walk in and ask for Jerry, and he will tell you all about the museum and the history of Lake Placid and what you can do to help us out. Anything you could do would very much be appreciated, because all we're trying to do is preserve the history of our fine small town, Lake Placid.